Gotta get the chat open. Gotta go get my tea. Gotta go get my tea. All right. Back in a second. We're just gonna fix a couple bugs that people reported. This might be a kind of a short stream. We'll see. I don't know where my teapot is. Here it is. I left it in here. I left it in here. Oh, I didn't bring a spoon. Okay. One more trip. Hold on. You've got to be able to spoon the honey or else the life is no good. All right. All right. So, we just got a bug report that we've had a terrible mistake in our array code for like the entire many years of this programming language's existence. Do you see the problem? Do you see the bug? Wait, why? Why is this refactored to be the... What is going on? Actually, what is going on? Because I don't think I wrote this code this way. Maybe someone changed it. Let's blame. We're going to blame. Line 271. Okay. Maybe grow. So it hasn't changed since revision 7600 in 2019. All right. So a different overload was added. I don't think I love that. But I kind of get why that's there. I think really we should just call out to this one. We'll try that. But do you see the... Okay, so let's look at how it's called. This is weird. It's weird that I wrote it this way, but what I'm thinking now is like... what? All right, great. We can't do that. Maybe I just didn't really know how I wanted the programming language to work at this point. But like this, so first of all, this isn't the bug, but the thing that's bad is like we're increasing the count and then calling grow and telling it to grow. And that means the array is invalid for a brief window when we call this, right? And I don't... Oh, unless you're equal to allocated, right? I guess that's the thing is like, in all these cases, you're equal. Okay, wait, what's... Only the case for a third party use of maybe grow. Okay, so the actual array code that we provide doesn't have this bug. So we're only invoking this when the count is equal in order to make sure there's more space. And you know what? Yeah, let's just change the API. We're just gonna, yeah. Since the array has to be temporarily invalid to have this problem first place. To have a count greater than the allocated data. But I think I will change the API in the next beta to discourage this kind of abuse. Okay. Dude, I've spent so many times explaining the better thing than OpenGL. If people can't be bothered to fucking clip that, I don't know what to say, but I'm not going to repeat it again. Sorry. Okay. Um, I don't know why people like love OpenGL. It's so bad. It's so bad now. Like back in the day, it was fine. Now it's just awful. Like, all right. So, what do I want to do here? Because somebody's like abusing this function. Really. We could put an assert in, but like, so we could do this, right? Whoops. Because what's going on is someone is using this function in a different way. But I don't necessarily want to put an assert here because this is called every time you add an element to an array. And in a debug build, I just don't want that. That's just more overhead than I would like, right? I could just put a comment explaining, right? But also, I'm just tempted to whittle it down to just this. And then we don't have as much. So one of the things that could happen is like we're pooping out polymorphic functions all over the place, right? So we could depolymorphize, but that wouldn't matter here. I just don't like code duplication. I really don't like having both of these. But this is useful because this could be done at runtime on arrays that you didn't at compile time know what the type is, right? So I'm just having a moral dilemma here. But, yeah. In reality, just doing this one should be fine. So first of all, we're just going to convert to this. We're gonna comment this out. We're gonna depolymorphize. And go down to this. And then we'll write a comment. I'm going to go no check-in comment. Okay. Maybe grow. So we're going to go maybe grow. Like that. You know what? I'm just going to do this. Fuck it. It looks dirty. We only have 2 calls to it. All right. Oh, we didn't like that. Oh, wait. There's another call. What's going on? Why do we have old style? All right. Whoa, we didn't like that. What did I do wrong? Array find. Oh, okay. This might be a thing. See, I expected that to auto dereference. Maybe our auto dereference needs to be a little more flexible. Okay, so what are we doing here? We're doing modules basic. We deleted the $T version of maybe grow so that the in favor of the runtime. In favor of the unknown type version. Okay, that's a good way to explain that. And then, or the, let's just say, let's explain it further for people. In favor of the pointer to resizable array version, which can be called at runtime without knowing the element type at compile time. Okay. Okay. Commented the intended use of maybe grow to reduce confusion. Okay, we still got a problem. Yeah, it's the same, like I expected it to auto dereference and it didn't. So in that one case, for almost everything else it did. So we need to look at that at some point, but I'm not going to rat hole right now. Okay. Is it just invaders? No, it's probably everybody. Let's just do that. All right, we'll run these again. Oh, explicit dereference here. Yeah. Okay. Looks like it's all working. Let's start on this comment. Because we're running on the European cores, okay, so we're deleting that and we're going to say maybe grow is intended just to check when array.count is equal to array.allocated. If count is greater than allocated, the array is in an invalid state and you should not do this, but just for extreme paranoia reasons, we use greater than or equal to. And then we'll do this. So the bug the guy was reporting is if count was too big, we would only double the allocated and it would still be less than count. Right? And yeah, For extreme, we use greater than or equal to. Just to try to have better behavior in broken programs, buggy programs. Okay. All right. So, oh, we're down to 3 that don't like it. Non-matching Windows file case. Wait, undeclared what? What is happening there? We're going to look at that in a minute, but maybe grow. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. So this is a call to maybe grow that's in one of our examples. All right. Whoops. So that's one of them. Oh, there's 2 in this one. Why are we disassembling in the error message? I don't know why we're doing that. Okay. And then there's another one. Oh, in so, wow, this was more annoying of a change than I thought. Maybe I don't actually like this change. We see, oh, god damn it. I don't. All right. This is weird, actually. I'm going to send Raphael an email about this. We can call this function at runtime without knowing t at compile time. Why do we have reserve underscore? Why did I remember doing that. We could just have this be resizable array as well. Instead of it being a thing that's a pointer to void or whatever, we could just have it be resizable array. Let's take a look at this. So, I mean, that's more characters just because the name is longer. Oh God, there's remember allocators. I think remember allocators will just work. Like what? Okay, I just hate this kind of code duplication. Like what are we even doing here? I kind of want to keep this explanation. Okay. Okay, so array reserve is going to be there, and we're just going to do that. I don't know why we didn't do that before. Okay, so now we got the ugly underscore. And I'm not going to XX it. So, oh, yeah. I mean, here's the thing. The thing about overload resolution is like if you just try to autocast, then I don't know, you probably hit this one, which we don't want if they have the same name. So, but we'll just explicitly cast, which is better for the user because you don't have to like manually figure out which one of these it is. But like, I'm kind of pissed off right now, if I'm being honest, because like the array code is just supposed to be really clean, and just somehow over time, you know, like if we can't make this just be super, super clean, what's our problem? You know what I'm saying? All right. Oh, I didn't, I goofed. I deleted the word array. In that case. And this case. All right. Now, there is always a trade-off, like, between cleanliness and functionality, right? Um, but just, I don't want all these little shitburger wrapper functions. This is not Java or JavaScript or Rust. Is the excess comma in that call intentional? Yes. This is an awesome language feature, actually. Now I'm going to spoon the honey. Okay, so what did we just edit? We removed an overload of array reserve, a wrapper. Okay. Bro, the European cores. No. Oh, it's so slow. I guess we could use the release compiler because we're not, instead of the debug compiler, because we're not actually, you know, changing the compiler right now. Although we probably will. Is the empty space falling back to a default argument? No. I don't want to explain language features because then somebody goes and clones them with a low quality version that sucks. And then they say they're as good as this language. So I'm just not going to explain these things. People who know. Sorry, but that's just how it is. All right, let's go to one of our newer levels. We're just, we're working out the array code here. We're doing lots of array operations in these levels. Okay. Anyone hiring a CUDA programmer? I mean, if you only program CUDA, that's probably less good than if you program other things and also CUDA. Like what? Like a systems programming language that actually sends the data to CUDA. Or, like, can you do graphics stuff? Or can you actually do, I don't know, AI stuff or something? Well, then say that. Say, anyone want to hire a programmer who knows CUDA plus is really good at Vulkan plus whatever? That sounds a lot better. Because CUDA itself is like, it's kind of going to go away at some point. Like, it's kind of stupid, to be honest. Okay. So, hey, we're just doing some little cleanups here. I still always wish this code was smaller than it is. But it's got lots of comments. And the file is 335 lines, right? So in reality, it's like 250 or something lines. That's pretty good for an array implementation that we use to ship all this stuff. So yeah. Someone thought the screenshots are AI generated of this game. I assure you they are not. I mean, what? If you want proof that they're not AI generated, here is proof. Well, first, there's a really ugly level when we start the game. But second, this isn't just a game, right? It's like, whoops. Like, you know, you can just do things. You know, let's make all these a very ugly purple. Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, you know. We have good art people working on this game. Do the artists have to make unique assets for all the tiles? I mean, there's a library of meshes that they make. So if they're gonna, you know, why? What is this array swap fucking function? Why are you just not calling? We have a swap in modules basic, right? Is there some reason why there's a fucking array swap in here? Like this, you turn around and like people add stuff and you're like, what? Okay, let's just try it. So A is 42. First, we're going to test swap on here, right? And we're going to go, it's lowercase, no, it's uppercase, swap. Right? Okay. We don't need to import input, but we do need basic. All right. So like I just when you get down to stuff like the array file, I take it super seriously. All right. So now we're going to do scalar swap because we're programming in Scala, and array swap. All right, so we're going to go A. We'll even do it with dynamic arrays, I guess. So A. And this array swap, it wants things to be the same type. So we're just going to have these be integers. Yeah. Like what? Why is this here? It's like deprecated. Just use swap instead. Okay, hold on. Where did this come from? Jonas! He doesn't work here anymore. Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, that's great. Remember when I said this was like 250 lines? It is now. It's now minus about 12 lines more. Okay, we're just going to do a pass looking through here, by the way. Marked array swap as deprecated. This function should never have existed. Simplicity is always good, but it is critical in this file. It is critical in this file. Believe what I say when I say it, even if I said it in 2019. God. All right. I mean, some things we duplicate for other reasons, though. So, like, this function doesn't really need to exist. It could just be this one, because this one's variadic. So you could call it with one item. It's just... it's a little slower, right? Whereas this, if you inline this and stuff, it's like really tight, right? So we leave them separate. I could explain that in a comment. It would make the file bigger. And then this is a version that adds an empty element. Okay, add if unique, insert at, unordered removed by value, unordered removed by index, ordered removed by value, ordered removed by index. We could call these, we could rename these to like remove by index, ordered. You put ordered and unordered at the end, I don't know. Array find, peek pointer pop. Array, by the way, an array is just a stack. Like you only need this is the only extra code you need to turn an array into a stack. So if the library, so-called standard library that you're using, has a separate stack data structure, all right. Reset, reserve, resize. So these have to be different, because this one, this is very weird how we're like testing this here. There's like an early out. I mean, I guess we could do that consistently. So here we're manually reallocating because this array doesn't have an allocator and an allocated size. It's like this is a very small stubby array view thing. I'm not sure if this really should be here, but maybe it should. Anyway. this init range, this, we could depolymorphize this also, but it might not be worth it since it's only called like twice, right? I mean, it's really only called once if you didn't have a copy of this function. So I don't know. Okay, I'm okay with this for now, although there are potential things to do. All right, let's run the tests again. Array swap. Bro, what kind of programming language do you think this is? You're adding array swap for sure. All right, well, you do that. You do that. Okay. This function should now just use basic.swap. In fact, not only could I deprecate it, by the way, I mean, let's just go full on with the disrespect for this function, right? Let's just make sure it still works. So we got our deprecation notice. So why is swap capitalized? I guess maybe I was worried about, because it's a common word, I didn't want to infringe on people's namespace. I don't know. But that's still a thing that we're still working out what the conventions are. So like, yeah. You've got to go full on with the disrespect when you deprecate a function. That's my policy. Also, this just makes clear to people when they see a deprecation notice, if they happen to be using this, it's just like, it's a very clear demo of what should you replace that code with, right? Do the two versions compile to the same assembly? I don't care. Maybe it's better to crash. No, the entire point of deprecating like this is to provide a soft transition, right? So there's hundreds of people in our beta program. I don't want to break their code if they happen to be using this function right now. But this tells them, hey, at some point later, we're going to remove this. So, beware and please change it, right? That's what this means. But no, you don't, like, if you're shipping a programming language to people, you don't want to like wantonly be crashing their code for arbitrary, capricious reasons. Like, that is not cool at all. If it were just my code, then yes, I would do that. I would be like, we're going to do a pass over it. We're going to remove all array swaps, and then to make sure we'll assert. But when it's other people's systems and you haven't even, and like the first they heard about this is that their program starts aborting, like that is not cool at all. Deprecated to canceled. Oh no. Yes, it's the cancel culture programming language. Okay, so here's where it's being used. Let's change that. dude, the European cores. All right, so we'll check in that Sokoban change. Remove evil communist function. Remove use of the evil communist function array swap. I can't. Subversion. There's so many files in our Sokoban game that Subversion starts choking on it. All right. There's a bunch of stuff I don't want to check in right now. Okay, so just that. All right, now, on the, did we run the, let's run these again. I think we just ran these, but again, we're being paranoid. Did I try the version control system? No, I haven't. The thing is, it's a really big deal to switch version control. So I wouldn't even do it for an existing project, but it would be more like, hey, maybe if we started a new project, we would try it, right? Because not least because you lose all your history and all that, but like changing an entire team over to a new version control sucks, right? Like you just don't want that hassle while you're in the middle of trying to finish a game. But no, I mean, I hope it's good. The other thing is you really want version controls to be very battle tested and hardened, right? So like any new version control system is like, all right, let's see how this goes. I hope I don't lose all my data, right? Let's see. Let's see how this is going. A version control system with games in mind. Similarly, is responsive, centralized, reliable, trustworthy. Focus on trunk-based development. Okay, so that means this is code name for different than Git, right? Soft locking for handling binaries. Case insensitive. What? Why would that be a feature? Wait, what? Okay, this is very sus. I don't know about that. Let's watch the video.
Hi, I'd like to introduce you to Arc.
Hold on, let me get my headphones. When is this video from?
New versioning control system with games in mind.
A year ago. Okay, so it could have changed a lot.
And its main goals are simplicity and performance. Let me show you how easy it is to get started. Arc is a single 5 megabyte executable file which includes server, command line interface, and GUI client. Double-click it to start the GUI client. When it first boots up, you'll have the option to choose a folder for a new workspace. This workspace can have content, but for now we'll just use an empty folder.
GeForce Experience.
The easiest way to use Arc, especially if you're testing it out, is to use a built-in server, which means that the GUI client will handle it for you. The email you enter will be your user ID. You now have a version-controlled workspace. Arc will track what happens to this workspace, and whenever there are changes, they'll appear in the Changes panel. From here, you can commit. A set of changes that is committed is called a change list. I mentioned how Arc is built with performance in mind, so here's how it looks when you drag a big project inside. This is Unreal Engine 5.2 source with over 170,000 files and folders, just under 2 gigabytes. Whenever you have changes in the workspace, Arc will check some of the files and determine if you have local changes. Arc is incredibly fast and remains responsive throughout the process.
You should demo it being responsive then. Like what? This is like a Windows
Once
dialog.
you have all your changes checked
Alright.
summed, you can commit. Another thing that is quite important for Arc is for you to be able to see what's going on so that you can assess how long it will take to finish a certain task. If you're looking for an alternative to
This
your
is
version control
good.
system,
This
go
is
to
good.
arc-vcs.com and try it out. If you like what you
Yeah,
see,
that's
please
way
consider
better
supporting its
than
development by pre-ordering
Subversion.
it. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next one.
Okay. You know, we'll see. I wish you would make a new update video or something because it's a year. I mean, I don't know. Maybe in a year, you mostly work on internal stuff, you know, and improving it structurally and stuff. And it doesn't look that much flashier. That wouldn't be that surprising. Let's see roadmap. What is checkmark? Does checkmark mean it's done? What's okay? What's the current version first of all? Okay. Past releases 0.9.7. Wait. 0.9.8. Then why is there roadmap with lesser stuff? I guess this is all stuff that's done. Yeah, I mean, I guess the roadmap is mostly done, is what this is saying. Okay. Well, cool. I hope, has anyone actually tried this? I definitely have gotten compiler bug reports from him and fixed bugs. But yeah. In fact, let's see, because we do have some bug backlogs since we just finished this. Okay, let me take the W on this. Modules basic array fixes and cleanups. Okay. I wonder if I fixed the Mac Heisenberg bug yesterday. I fixed the Linux bug. So I get build emails when compiler builds fail on various platforms, right? And yeah. Let's see if I have any backlogs from him. Because we want to support the people who are doing the things, right? Okay. I fixed that bug in the next beta, but also commented in the file that it's not intended use. If you want to grow array reserve or array resize. Okay. Cool. So, let me see. I've definitely got some pretty old emails from him. Okay, wait. I've got one from January 18 this year. That's not very high priority, which is why it's probably still there. But let's take a look at it since we're doing cleanups. Runtime support crash handler line 613. Oh, this all changed. Okay. Let's just make sure it, let me see. It might have been, let's see. Just going through backlogged bug reports. Seems like runtime support crash handler changed significantly since this report. Is this still an issue? Question mark. All right. I at least replied to his year-old bug report. Oh, he's here in chat. You do have a bug with your C plugin when using LLVM. Okay, so you mean like, is it like a calling convention bug? Raphael's been handling those because he did a big calling convention overhaul at some point. So I probably wouldn't try to fix that on this stream because he probably remembers better what are the things. New video. Oh, there's a new, okay. This is what I get for.
Hello.
Okay, this is 4 minutes. We're gonna watch the demo. Or we could watch Joe Rogan Experience with Duncan and Joe dressed as elves. We could watch that. Wait. The Sham Legacy of Richard Feynman? What? A 3-hour video? I don't know if I like that girl's channel.
My name is Nuno Afonso, and today I'd like to present to you ARC. It is a small binary that holds a centralized version control system, containing both server and client, including a built-in GUI. Throughout my career as a game developer, I was often frustrated by the available version control options. We have solutions that are a mix of too complicated, too expensive, with bad performance, not suited for binaries, can't properly track local changes, and try to hook you to their cloud service. So I decided to take my experience and build an alternative that tackles all of these issues. ARC takes a different approach to the other solutions, focusing first on the GUI version. This tightly coupled approach enables it to take performance.
Which, by the way, that's a really good idea. So here's the thing. Most source control systems kind of have a Unix operating system legacy. And then there's a few that don't, like probably Perforce or something. So the ones that have a Unix legacy, like going back to like SCCS, right, and whatever, they're all trying to do this Unix philosophy thing that's actually terrible, right? Which is, hey, we've just got command line tools that do the source control operations, and then if you wanted a GUI, which back in the day you just was even unthinkable, right? But excuse me, later on, if you wanted a GUI, you would just build a GUI that runs the command line tools, man. What's wrong with that? And what's wrong with that is it's sucky and unresponsive and very hard to diagnose problems when they happen, and just like slow, and just there's all sorts of issues. And like you can't, like GUIs are very good for visualizing data, right? Command line text stuff is very bad for visualizing data. And so if you build something on a foundation of command line text stuff, it's like never going to be good at seeing the data, like ever. Because it's just not in the paradigm, right? And so that's why, on last night's stream, we were trying to like cursor through the blame list and subversion and stuff. And it was just really slow and clunky, and you could not really very well see what you wanted to see. Why? Because it's freaking built as a text only command line tool, right? And so not doing that from the ground up, I think just that, even if you just duplicated existing source control systems, in terms of like how they work, like in terms of how the data is stored and what the network protocol is and stuff. Even if you only did that, but you just built it GUI first, it would be tremendously better than anything that people use today. Now, that said, there have been a couple of systems that were like that. So I think Perforce was probably built like, although maybe Perforce actually has a command line tool on the back end as well. But, you know, like Perforce and Alien Brain were definitely commercialized tools that were trying to have a good GUI, right? Well, with different ideas of what good means. And like Perforce, I never used Alien Brain, but like Perforce was just, it was very much not reality based. It was this problem where it's like not designed by people who make heavy use of the tool. And so it just kind of always sucked. Despite the fact that it sucked, it was very heavily used in the game industry. It was a very successful product for a long time, just because nothing else was designed that way, right? But I think it's mostly dead in the games industry now. Unless you're maybe at Microsoft. There was another one. There was like Microsoft Visual Source Safe that was like even worse than Perforce. But yeah. I don't know how, like, is anyone here on a relatively big game team? Do you still use Perforce, or like what do you do? Yeah, anything. So here's the problem is Visual Source Safe was the worst about this. Is like you would lock files all the time, and then someone would like go on vacation for a week or just go home for the weekend, and like you couldn't edit that file because there was like not really a good merge system at all. So it was all locking based. It was horrible. So any system that's mostly about locking just is kind of ass. Every big team uses it still. Still. All right. All right, I'm surprised. I thought Perforce was kind of dead, but people are telling me they still use it. I guess that's what happens when nothing better comes along, right? Like you can't, you know, again, all the open source people are like, why don't you use Git? And like, you just can't use Git when there's this much data. It just, not even the LFS, because you want everything. The problem is everyone's like, why not LFS? And it's like, look, everything needs to be in sync because when you're working on a game, you're changing file formats all the time, right? So like, oh, we added a field to our texture asset thing on disk. And so if you get a version of the code that is out of sync with the data, the game won't run. All right. This is what you have to understand about video games. So you need to be able to seek forward and backward with everything in sync. And so you can't really do any of this weird Git stuff that people do. Now, I do know in games a lot of the time, like a couple of our programmers did this sometimes. Like programmers who just want to do some source code stuff and branch it locally and stuff will have like their own personal local Git echo of just the source and mess around with that. I don't do that because I think it's extra complexity that's not worth it, but people do that. But like you can't, like a modern video game is so data intensive, your source control system has to be designed for data to be able to handle it. This is what people don't understand at all. Git LFS also sucks for large files. What's the point? I mean, the point of it is somebody tried to design something to deal with this problem that Git has with binary files, but it's just not good enough for heavy duty production environments. That's the thing. That's the problem with it. Perforce seems like the best alternative out there, but it's far from perfect, especially the GUI, which does not handle change lists with 10,000 files. Yeah. I mean, so Subversion here, we definitely sometimes have updates. I don't know if I've done, yeah, I mean, I don't usually do like commits with 10,000 files because most of the things that touch that many files for us are automated processes like lightmap baking or something, right? Or, you know, we ran a command to like salvage a bunch of the entity files because every entity is an individual file in our system. And we have, I don't know, we could look at how many files are in this game right now. This is going to be about 2 times the number of files because Subversion keeps a backup, but like it's hundreds of thousands of files, right? And sometimes when we update, Subversion will do the actual update pretty fast, but because the GUI uses the crappy Windows, like whatever MFC turned into these days, it like does the update, but then the OK button is grayed out and it's sitting there flickering for like 5 minutes while it does some stupid ass redraw shit with all the widgets in the update list. Anyway, we're just gonna see. And okay, keep in mind this is an indie game, right? So anyone who's working on AAA likely has a substantially bigger project than this, right? This is an indie game. Now, but the thing is, so the thing to know about Subversion is it keeps a local copy of the most recent version of all the files. And because it does that, you can like do local diffs off the most recent version without having to pull data down over the network. And that's actually good. But what that means is this file count and size will be about 2x what our actual working image is, right? 2 million files. Yeah, maybe we got to start doing something to cut down the number of files. It's just there's disadvantages to that, you know? Big changes usually come from merges between streams, which you do a lot. Yeah, we just don't branch ever. I mean, Perforce probably is better at branching than Subversion, right? All right, so we got 2.5 million files, which means we actually have, 1.3 actually. But yeah, Windows doesn't like this. So when I go to do a check-in and we scan all the files to see what's changed, it takes like 30 or 40 seconds to do that. And that kind of sucks. But this also, the approach that we're doing with, so every entity actually probably has 3 or 4 files because we've got a text file for the actual entity fields. And then we tend to have like maybe light map data and there's 1 or 2 like vertex paint maybe. Now in the shipping game, we don't have this many files, right? But when you're in development and you're doing all these source control operations, it helps you a lot to just have things in separate files because then when you're doing a merge or resolving a conflict or whatever, it's very isolated what is the problem, right? That said, I have an idea for how to massively reduce the number of entity files. But I haven't quite worked it out and I'm not sure how to do it without introducing problems. So this is just our reality right now. We have 3 million files. Deal with it. And this, the game's not done, right? So this number keeps going up pretty rapidly. I'm running out of inodes. I don't know how many inodes you get. Does NTFS have inodes? I don't even know. All right.
Very seriously. In this example, we're importing Unreal Engine 5, which has over 200,000 files and folders. And as you can see, it handles it quite fast, always trying to maintain responsiveness and giving you appropriate feedback.
Yeah, again, this is super good to have for large commits, right? Like, because sometimes your commit isn't really going and you're like, what's going on, right? Is the server overloaded on CPU? Is the network being flaky, right? Are we just transferring a big file that I didn't expect to be big? Like, all these things are important to be able to visualize, and you don't usually get to see that. All right.
And although performance is nice, the actual main goal is being simple and easy to use, so that any team, no matter how small, can use it with confidence, while still having a breadth of features needed for bigger projects. Arc takes concepts from other solutions, but always tries to see how they can be taken to the next level. One such example are shelves. With other implementations, shelves are a one-way street, which prevents people from using them to their full potential. With Arc, shelves are bidirectional. This means that you can now work collaboratively in situations where you're still not ready to commit, and without going through the friction of having everybody involved jumping back and forth.
So is a shelf essentially a local branch? I know that's terminology from some source control system. Is it like a locally stored branch? In which case, how do you collaborate with other people when it's locally stored? Is it actually remote in this case? A shelf is the same as Perforce. It's a changeless saved in the server. I see. So somebody else can go like switch to yours. So it's essentially a branch, but it's like lightweight because, well, you have, okay, I mean, here's my question for you. Maybe the video will tell me, but what's the difference between a branch and a shelf? Because you use the word branch here, but you use the word shelf there. So okay, we'll see branches being used. All right.
As everybody in games is aware, handling binaries is quite important, and Arc has its own approach called soft locking. In this approach,
that's not that good of a term. I mean, it's fine, but like soft lock is a bad word when it comes to video game development. But let's keep going.
Instead of having a single lock owner, it has a lock queue, where the next in queue will automatically receive the lock whenever it is released. And if you really need it, you can always request the lock from the current owner, bypassing the queue altogether. Arc's philosophy stems from trunk-based development, in which branching is a less common operation, used mostly for stabilization. That being said, it doesn't do anything to prevent you from working with a more branch-oriented approach, and as such tries to make it as simple as possible to handle branches. In the history panel, you can create a branch from any change list. To merge, you also select any change list and choose if you want to cherry pick or merge all up to that point. The approach to make it easy to use also extends to managing the server itself. Migrating your server is as straightforward as moving a folder to a new location. Arc has no external dependencies, doesn't require complex setups, and you can run it on Windows, Linux, or Mac. This is Arc, and if you like what you see, please give it a try at arc-vcs.com. Oh, and by the way, while this whole demo happened, Git was doing its best to import Unreal Engine.
Yeah. So, there you go. I mean, it seems very reality-based, right? So, that's cool. I would try it. I mean, maybe at some point we would try moving the compiler over to that. I don't want to do that right now just because it's a very hairy time when we're trying to finish a game, but maybe at some point I would try it. It looks better than Subversion, right? Which is what I currently use. I still don't get, maybe I spaced out during the wrong part of the video, but I still don't understand the difference between a branch and a shelf, but we would probably figure that out by experimenting with it. Basically, after you tackle diffs internally. Okay, cool. But yeah, let me know. I mean, I should try again to switch editors. Like I'm still using Emacs. How sad is that? How sad is that? Um, Sent me that or else macro with questions from the stream so the discussion is not forgotten. Okay, that's good. Let's look. Okay, okay. This is a good cleanup. One of the topics that came up, which maybe we can address right now on the stream, was we have this must directive, right? Which means that you have to look at the value, right? And well, here's the thing. So if I do this, right, then this works. But if I don't assign to the value, right, we get a compile time error. Let me just double check and make sure I'm checked in. I'm pretty sure we checked in, but yeah. Okay. So that's that. There's a problem, which is the place where we check this is not necessarily a very good place. So for example, if I'm going to write a macro, I don't know. Let's just start here, right? Macro. So we could do that. And this is currently valid. Oh, I guess you can't. All right. Yeah. I guess the implicit cast doesn't work there because it's got to be expression contest. Okay. Attempt to insert. Yeah. That's weird, though. That's also kind of a bug because arguments to macros. Oh, no, this is not. That's the problem. All right. So this works, right? Because we've got some code that assigns to this thing. We pass it as an argument. We insert it, whatever. Now the problem comes in if we want to do the following. And I'm just going to emulate, because as we also discussed in that stream, it would be easier. But I'm just going to pretend like we were taking this argument and making some stuff out of it. And we're going to insert x colon equals f of 5, right? Just like pretend like we did something to generate that string. But we passed in this. Oh, this still won't trigger it because now we're not. I guess it happens here, right? It happens in the implicit. No. What? How do I trigger this? Help me out here. How do I trigger the problem? In a simple, massively simplified way. Shelf is a change list on the server, but not committed. Yeah, okay. How... I thought this would repro the thing. Like, I want a very simple repro of the problem. Why doesn't this repro the thing? Maybe I should get out the repro case. Turn to pointer literal. Yeah. Well, that's a whole separate thing. We could factor the run out here and do some stuff with it. I don't know. Let's see what's in the email. Oh, it's a zip file. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. How many files we in for here? Maybe we'll work on this later if it, oh, well, no, it's just 3 things. All right, let's see what the repros are. So do any of them? All right, so maybe we got to look at the files and be like, uncomment this. All right. Commented out example in main. All right, so error, attempt to match a literal. Okay, this is a different one. We could look at this one too, but I want to try to do this. Okay, so this is reproing the problem. Yeah. So this is what I was trying to make happen. Because table find has a must argument, and then this or else is a macro that's doing some code generation stuff. So let's copy this and try to cut stuff out and simplify it. Like, we probably don't need all these, right? To repro the problem. Yes. Okay. So I just like deleting whatever I can from the file. All right, so the or else is going to be a big macro. So can we, we're just cutting down the file right now. Just so I can understand the problem as clearly as possible. So we don't even need second return type here, right? Because we're not using that for, that's just an error check. Yeah. Okay. We don't need that. We can do that. Okay. Return, that's an error check. That's an error check. This is, look how small this macro is getting. Okay. That's an error check. All right. Now this is just the modify proc though. This isn't the actual macro. All right. So do we need this at all to run this example is the question. I guess we do because well, hold on. Do we use the default value at all? I mean, I feel like the default value is not the problem. So let's try cutting that out. This could go horribly wrong. Because like, maybe I should have just ignored the modify proc and looked at the main thing, right? Okay. Okay, still happening. Great. Okay, so it looks like he did switch the code generation. We were talking about on the stream that you could get nodes of something like this and then poke in the results, right? So we're getting this dummy. So the default value stuff we don't really care about, right? So I think value anything doesn't matter, right? Yeah. So right, none of this matters because we don't get very far, right? I mean, actually, probably none of this matters, right? Probably I could do this, right? Yeah. So great. We have simplified our test case tremendously. I mean, can we do this? Is it the fact that it's getting value baked? Like, what's the difference here? Like, this is now an empty macro. Why didn't I repro this then? Okay, here's the thing. By the way, this $sign is actually not necessary on a macro, but that's a very minor thing. It's not changing the result at all. Maybe it's only firing. Okay, this is a very small repro case now. We don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need that. We do need that for now. All right. So great. I don't know why I wasn't able to repro that, but we've reproed it. Passing the proc call implicitly uses the first return value. Oh, right. Yeah, you know what? That is the case. I put the must first instead of second. Yes. Okay. So if in my example I put the must second, it would have reproed. All right, but this is fine. So let's just break and see exactly what the stack is when this happens. This is going to be happening during type checking at some point. I'm just going to put a breakpoint when we report an error. There might be other old breakpoints laying around. No. Okay. So we're inferring, yeah, like if the call didn't, like, is this a new Visual Studio rendering glitch? We've been getting all these blinks now. All right. So this is in probably just the procedure call. Yeah, we're inferring procedure call here. No surprise. So we store this value. So I think, I mean, we need this. This need size to build needs to happen here. But this part can happen in code generation. So I think that's what we do is we just make it legal to violate the must constraint until this is the solution we were talking about last night. So let's just do that. Longer term, I don't know if we're going to keep must, but we will for now. Wait, where? Oops, I missed a digit when I was typing that line number, which is why I was confused. Okay, so we're literally just going to do this. Right? And let's do this for a second. Okay, we're just going to, we just took out the error check completely. And we'll do this, and now it compiles. Ship it! No, don't ship it. So, okay, now this is a little bit, annoying for the following reason. No check-in. What if we are calling a macro that has a must return argument that can't be checked during code generation because the macro is expanded at that point? So I'm just going to move this to code generation for now, make sure this works, and then if it works, we'll like factor it back into a function and like check it here if it's a macro. The macro expansion code is like actually probably above this. Oh, maybe we don't. Oh, we don't check this for macros right now anyway. But we should. That's broken. We don't have a test case for that. All right. All right. Do I have this in my cut buffer? Yes. Okay, so we're going to go into code generation. Emit procedure call. And do we have, I mean, we must have a per argument iteration, right? I mean, like, are intrinsics ever going to be marked must? Like, now we're looking down a different code path, right? I don't feel like intrinsics are ever going to be marked must, but at the same, when we factor it into a function, okay. This is kind of annoying. Okay, construct a calling record. I could just have this be a separate loop rather than factoring it down, but I'm trying to like be efficient and not iterate over the arguments multiple times. Okay, so this loop, oh, this is returns anyway. That's arguments. Here's returns. Okay. So we get the declaration. See, we're using it here, but if we're going to use it more than once, we can make a name for it. And then here we go. We're just going to say, we don't want this because we're doing other work in this loop. So instead of the little continue pattern, We were talking about we were arguing for days about this Rust builder pattern, and now I've got the word pattern in my brain, even though that's not really how I think about code. Okay, so okay. And so yeah, let's just try that. Def proc defen. Okay, we have moved that error check. This still compiles, but let's make sure that it doesn't work here. Value is table find table foo. That should complain. There we go. Success is being ignored. So because the macro is disposing of this code, it's technically legal because we're not generating the code. Let me explain this so people know what's going on. The must directive has been changed so that what? So that it's checked during code generation, not during type checking. This means it's legal to have code in your program that temporarily violates must, for example, in macros. But if you try to generate actual output code that violates must, it's an error. Okay. That's, this is only something that like advanced metaprogrammers are going to care about, but this is, this is why we have a beta, right? So if you're C++ and you have a big committee, you release the language while it's a preprocessor for C and it still really sucks. And then you harden all these semantics and then people's programs depend on the specific behavior and then you can't change it. And so then you add like super must and reference must and smart must. And then you have 9 musts and they all suck. So that's why we're doing this closed beta for a long time, is because we don't want to do it that way. So we're refining these semantics, while why must isn't the default? Because that would be terrible. Box must. Okay, so I'm going to preemptively document something else. Must is now checked for macro expansions where it was not before. Macro expansion return values. Okay. Let's make that happen. And then let's also do it for intrinsics. Okay, so I actually like how compact this is. I kind of don't like factoring this into a function, but we'll do it. Check return value is received. Check that. I was thinking of putting return value receipt or whatever, but call decal I, right? Or void. Oh, we need interp. Okay, so here we can do this now again. See, isn't code fun? Okay. So let's make sure that we still compile and run with procdefn. Wait. Here's the location of the procedure declaration. Let's just have a site argument. That's a standard thing that we do. Time does fly. I know. I know. Oh my God. Okay, okay. Because I forgot, because we're in C++, you just can't put this in a header file unless you inline it, because otherwise you compile it 20 trillion times. I'm sorry. I'm just not used to such a primitive ass programming language. All right. All right, so that still works. Let's make a new test case. Actually, we'll make a few test cases out of this. Let's test that this works, right? So we're going to copy tests regression must being discarded by macro. Okay. So that's now in our test suite that has to work. And if we ever break that, we will be sad. Now, I don't know. I don't necessarily. I think we already have tests for basic must, so I'm going to do that. But obviously, we don't have a macro one. So I'm just going to forget the discarding or whatever. We're just going to say macro. And this one's going to pass, right? Okay, so, whoops, I put the must in there. I use this so rarely that I don't even know my own programming language. All right, so that's fine. We're going to copy that. Must on macro pass. Okay, and then we're going to make a fail version that's just this. Oops. I did the wrong command. Sorry. Okay. Wait, what? This isn't a macro. Bro. Okay. Tests regression must on macro pass. All right. We can program. Okay, it still passes. All right, so now we just want this to fail. And this... okay. So the macro code, that's the arguments. Is that really the only place? Constants block. Yeah, let's just put it in here because we're already checking the returns. Wait, where did I skip it? Okay. Okay, so my only worry is there something that's not going to work because it's a macro? Let's just see. Okay, so let's just copy our loop from here. We're just harmonizing our naming. Okay. Okay. Whoa, there's raiding happening. Why are you cherooting me? Stop it. Stop it. Do not hack my Gibson. Do not hack my Gibson. Why is my Gibson being hacked right now? Stop it. Stop it. I'm going to report you to the Cybersecurity Alliance. How's it going, everybody? What we are doing, so we're working on a compiler for a programming language, and we actually just watched. I'm told that this is written in this programming language that we're working on, but we just watched this YouTube video for a version control system.
My name is
right. We could have watched the CIA's Scariest Weapon instead, but let's not do that. So you could watch this on YouTube for extracurricular, but so the developer of this uses this programming language. And we were talking about that. And then we were talking about there's another developer using this programming language. And we rated his stream last night. And he was like, hey, I'm doing all this metaprogramming stuff. And here's some stuff you could do to make it better. So we've started. This is just the last half an hour recap. So we've started working on the metaprogramming a little bit more, just to smooth out some of the rough things. Okay. Did I use the cursor AI thing at all? Not yet. Not yet. Okay. So what we are specifically doing right now is we have this directive on return values in this language called must, and it means you can't ignore this return value. You have to assign some variable to it if you call the function. And why does that exist? Because, I don't know, you don't want to leak memory or drop a file on the floor or something, right? Or for the hash table, our hash lookup function gives you a success value and then a value, and you can't ignore the success value, right? Although, maybe that just means we should put it first in the argument list. I don't know, man. Anyway, the point being, right now we have this directive. We might take it out of the language later. But right now we have it, and we change the way that it works to facilitate better metaprogramming. And in the process of doing that, I realized it doesn't get invoked in macros, because macros in this language look just like functions, but they say expand, which means it expands the code into your current function. And we weren't checking this must directive. So if I compile this program right, if I compile this program right now, it compiles. It shouldn't compile. So we're fixing that, and we're in the code that is about expanding macros. And I made this is the code for regular functions, but we made this check that return value is received. And I was just putting it into this stuff that expands macros. And then I was very rudely interrupted by a big raid of people trying to cheroot my machine. So I don't know what to do about any of that. Okay. That is the recap. So we're doing check that return value is received here. And proc defen, we need I. We've got I. We need decal. We've got that. We need call. So I think that's actually literally everything. I think I was rudely interrupted right when we got it working. There we go. See? Right at the moment of completion, we were cock-blocked. Okay. So, there's one more thing, which is we're not checking this for intrinsics, which is kind of stupid because nobody's ever going to mark an intrinsic as must, but it's kind of stupid if your programming language claims to have this feature and then it's not enforced in all cases. So that no check-in here that I just deleted, this is a thing that says the source control will reject you unless you put something here. So that's what we're doing here. All right, so we just want to look for a good place to put this. Oh God. So we don't have very many intrinsics in this language. We've got, this might change. This is a whole discussion. I posted like a giant novel on Twitter about what I'm thinking about this. But we have memcopy, memset, memcomp, and, you know, I don't know why we called this lock comp exchange. That's a shitty name. It's because that's what the x64 instruction or the x86 instruction is. This should just be called compare and swap or something because it's a cross-platform intrinsic. But for now, you get this very sad programmer name. So we actually want to check up here all this stuff. So let's... Now, I could have, if I didn't care if the compiler got slower, I could have checked this as a separate pass. Maybe that would have been better. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to make a note about this as well. But we need a similar thing where we're checking all this. Let's just do this. Copy pasta. We are checking return value receipt 3 times, once in macros, once here, which is kind of dumb since no intrinsic will ever be marked must, but come on, man. And once in regular procedure calls. If I were not paranoid about speed, I would just do it once. Let's actually put a tag on this so they're easy to find. Duplicate checking for return receipt. If we're not paranoid about speed, I would just do it once at the beginning of oh no, we can't. We can't. Okay. We actually can't. We actually have to do this at least twice because the macro expansion case must be checked during type checking. Macros don't exist during bytecode generation. And we can't check them all during type checking because we want macros to be able to throw away must violating calls during intermediate processing, right? So by the way, it's very useful if you're writing code if you actually say, if you actually tell the reader why the code is here and what the context is and all that stuff. You know, this is hopefully a good comment. A bad comment is call check that return value is received. That's a shitty comment because, like, why are we doing it? And why is it being done multiple times and whatever, right? So don't be this guy who writes that comment, which is unfortunately 98% of programmers. Okay. We can't check them all during type checking because we want the macros to be able to throw away must violating calls during intermediate processing so they can do code manipulations from incomplete parts, for example. Okay, great. Since we have to do it at least twice, I decided 3 times is not so bad because otherwise we would iterate over return declarations an extra time and speed. Okay, so we're going to put this tag in the other places. Check that return value is received. We're just going to, we're just going to put that there. And then we're just going to put that here. This is not really hooked up to anything. It's just a convention that I know when I see. So, okay, here's when programs get hard to understand. Why? Why are they hard to understand? There's a lot of reasons. They get complicated, but why don't you understand the complication? The reason is because certain things become invisible, right? There are relationships between far away parts of a program that you can't see if you just, maybe you programmed it and then forgot, or maybe you're new to the code base or whatever, right? And you have to sort of go through this painful process of rediscovering those far away connections in order to make the program work better, right? And so this is just a convention that I've developed over time, not that much time because I'm pretty young. I turn 20 next year. But you know, so whenever I see something like this, I know I can search for this tag and find the other places that are related to that thing, right? So, yeah, I mean, not all of us have years of programming experience. Some of us are just basically out of high school. So, all right, so we got to finish this now because I made this copy of this thing, but where is it? All right. All right. Yeah, I recommend, like, I literally never saw anyone do this, but once I started doing it, dude, it helps a lot, just even in your own code. So, yeah. I have a typo. It says does ring. What? Does ring. Yeah, you're right. It does say that. Not anymore. All right, num return values. Decal. Do we have proc defen? Probably not. Oh, we do. We passed it called proc defen. That's great. Interp call. Do we have the call? We don't have the call. Oh, no. Why not? Is there some way you can emit the intrinsic without a call? So that's the missing link. To call this, we need the procedure call. syntax tree node, emit intrinsic proc expr. Let's just pass the call. Oh, there's literally only one call site. But because this is C++, you have to do literally everything twice. So I got to put this in the header file. Like what? The compiler is in C++. Just to allay confusion, this is not C++, right? This is our language that we're doing. The compiler, however, is written in C++. All right, so that's, it compiles. We want to, I mean, I guess where's our memcopy intrinsic defined? Is it in preload? Yeah. So, oh, it doesn't return anything, but memcomp does. So let's put a must on this for a second. All right. And we're going to go A is 16U8 and B is 16U8 and result is memcomp A.data B.data size of type of A. Our size of it, because types are first class values in this language, our size of only operates on types. In C, you could say size of A, but that's actually ambiguous in this language because you wouldn't know if you're asking for the size of the instance or the size of the type. And so we just make that explicit. But in return, you can like pass types as values and all this stuff, and it's great. All right, so that is fine. What if I don't look at the result? Return value 1 is being ignored, which is disallowed by must. However, we're then going on to generate code without, wait, why is that? Why is that going on? Ensure, wait, what is it called? I just remember my comment that had all the stars. That's what I'm searching for here. Check. Okay, but we don't bail out if that happens. So why is instruction memcomp? Oh, because it's, wait, was this a problem? Did we uncover a compiler problem? It's a very mild compiler problem, but I think if you don't have a return value when we generate this instruction, we're unhappy. So let's go look at that. Let's go back here. Let's take out the must. This file preload is like all the stuff that the compiler loads when it starts up, and it's mostly data structure definitions. But we also define these basic intrinsics here so that you can use them without including something. Wait, no. So if I delete the must, it's not a problem. What is going on? Okay. No, I know what it is. I suspect what it is. Let's go back here. Let's just, let's actually do this. Because you also, if there's multiple of these, it's maybe you don't want to spam people. Maybe you do. I don't know. Let's just see what happens here. So this thing doesn't return a value. So we are. So let's do that. Emit intrinsic must return a value. Oh. What, it wants a value number. Oh. All right. Well, -1 means we don't know the value number, but I'm not sure how that's going to go. Okay. So let's go back to here and we'll put our must back. Elon must. So now we get an error and the compiler is not choking. So like, that's very weird. There might be a better way to solve this. Let's just look in the memcomp code generation. No, I mean, this is very vanilla. So I'm kind of not sure. I'm kind of not sure why that didn't work. And you know what? We could check this in. It does everything that we wanted. In fact, so, oh, no, you know what? I kind of don't want to. I kind of don't want to check this in because I don't want a stupid intrinsic definition floating around. But this is okay. So oftentimes programmers want to ship code where like, hey, I solved the problem. But like, we got a glimpse at something where it's like, I don't know why I had to do this. I don't know why I had to return in this. And so rather than just call it a day, I am not satisfied. Like, what happened here that's different than when we don't return, right? And like, looking into these things is very important for long-term code quality. So we're just going to do that, even though we're done, right? Okay, that's our breakpoint when we signal an error. We're skipping past that and going to this crash. So like, oh, the left and right value, I thought it would be the result value number is -1, but left and right are -1. And, you know, Visual Studio, because it's such an excellent IDE, people ask me all the time, how do you get by not using IDEs? Because I don't usually, except for debugging. Because they do great stuff, like let you resize all the fonts just with the scroll wheel. That's invaluable, but it's like you hover over the thing and it's a font for ants. So, you know, this is the state of software today. Mr. Streamer, just use Visual Studio Code. It's better. It's better. Okay, so to be fair, this is Visual Studio 2019, but that's because 2022 is even less usable, globally speaking. But it might. So, by the way, also, you can scroll wheel this, but like if I try to scroll wheel this down here, nada. Why? Because it's an unsolved problem in computer science how to change the font on this. But this is fine, you know, because like this is like linear complexity and this is NP complete down here. That's what's going on. VS Code actually zooms in the entire UI if you want. Okay, well then it is better, I guess. Okay. Microsoft is a small company with no money. Yes. Yes, it is. All right, so why is left and right? What's going on there? And the answer is, let's just step through from the error. All right, so we're reporting the error back in this function, our check that return value is received. So we did that, but we continue on the loop. There's only one return value, so the loop only went once. Now, is the name memcopy? It is not. Is the name memset? It is not. Is it memcomp? Why, yes, it is. Okay. Oh, the reason is emit expression probably checks if an error has been reported. That is why, right? Okay, we didn't want to step into that, but whatever, that's C++. So let's see. Emit cast. Why is it a cast? Probably because of the argument type. What's the argument type? Oh, to void pointer. Yeah. So we're passing a pointer to U8. And so there's an implicit cast from U8 to void pointer. And that's what we're evaluating right now. R value register. Oops. Oh, it's 1. Oh, but yeah, here's the thing. There's an error check. So this code is assuming that if we got here at all, we didn't have an error. And then if we call this and it generated an error, we return -1. Because we don't want to go through the rest of it. So here's the question. There's 2 ways. There's at least 3 ways of solving this. One is to change this. I don't care that much about changing this. I think it's mostly fine. Except, yeah, I don't know. What we revealed is there's a little bit of a problem with this approach, is that calling sites maybe also need to check this if we're going to go this way. Also, though, it actually, so this whole thing that was happening, not that, but this whole thing, this is only, I think only an issue for the debug compiler, right? The release compiler would just ignore this. But it's not great. It's not great. So what do we do? What is our best way of solving this? I want to finish solving this issue and not get into this Vietnam of thing after thing after thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a comment here. I'm going to say, it's not necessarily okay to just return -1 here, because a lot of the emit routines will assert in debug mode if they get a -1 input value. We don't want to add checking for that all over the place, so probably want to do something else here. We could just return the context register as a dummy, for example. But we should audit the callers to see if anyone is checking for a -1 result and doing anything meaningful based on that, right? So the thing is, this is actually a whole big issue, right? I'm going to tag this problematic cancel culture, problematic -1 result. Okay, so we're just going to do that. It's not a big problem, but it's like, is it ideal? It is not. It is not ideal. All right, so when I go back here into my bytecode builder, when we return, I'm going to do the following thing. I'm going to say problematic -1 result. Actually, we'll do it here. Let's not even do this. And here, I think that's not how it goes anymore. Yeah, interrupt report state. So, because we may have reported an error in check that above, check that. We return here because at the other tag of this is code that may return that will return, in fact, not may, will return a -1 value number for if an error has been reported, and this goes into the inputs of our intrinsic generation below, and that generates an error in debug builds. Okay, so there we go. Emit intrinsic must return a value. Yeah, because I deleted it and whatever. Yeah. Okay. So that works now. Let's run all the tests. What did we break? Is the bytecode some intermediate representation? Yes, it is a platform independent intermediate representation. And then we convert that to machine language on the back end. What does the workflow look like with these tags? I mean, what it really is, it's not a how do you know what to look for. It's like if you see a tag, if you're investigating something and you see a tag, then you can look for other instances of that same tag, and you will know that that other code is relevant to what you're investigating, right? As opposed to like being just in a veil of ignorance and like maybe some other things in this code are related to this. You see the tag and you're like, oh, somebody knew that I might be looking at this later, and they've pre-told me what else is relevant. And it saves you a lot of time, and it sort of levels up your ability to understand the code by, not by a tremendous amount, I would say, but by enough that it's nice. All right, let's do the game. Hey, we get to show off fun screenshots again. So here when we do x64, we're using our own backend. We also have an LLVM backend. We're running the debug compiler, and also this computer I'm using is full of European cores that just run slow, which I have to turn off. So it's taking a long time. Oh wait, no, I was scrolled up for some reason also. Oops. But it took a little bit of time. But usually it's less than 2 seconds to build the game. When you're running a release compiler and not on European cores. So now we're just testing the game to make sure it works after all that. Soviet bloc cores? No, Soviet bloc cores would at least launch shit into space, right? Okay, so these are our recent levels that we were doing, and they're a good test of the game. And I don't know. And then this is sort of the fun level set that we appreciate lately with like the cool visuals. And you know, it all appears to be working. So what do you want, man? It all appears to be working. Someone said that there's a conspiracy theory that the screenshots from this game are AI generated. They are not. Okay, so, and you can tell because the monster's interpenetrating here. Also, his body isn't fading away. It should turn to ash and fade away, and we haven't done that yet. All right, anyway. Actually, AI would totally do that. Look at the monster hands. Yeah, the monster hands don't have the right number of fingers, dude. All right. Yeah, see, that's totally AI right there. Look at that. Look at that. AI doesn't understand fingers. We all know that. All right, so this all works. So we're going to take the W. And then I might be signing off because I haven't really eaten anything today and all that. Let's check for no check-ins. Did I have one? No. All right. So we have solved a problem for one of our beta users. And we'll do more of those later. Now the question is, I mean, obviously we can't raid Prime if he signed off and raided it. What was he do? Does he live in like New York or something? What was he streaming that early for? Like, what the hell? He has kids. Oh, he's got to do Christmas stuff. Oh, is Soding streaming? Let's see.
So
Yes, we will in the Christmas cheer. We will pass on the raids. Thank you everybody for coming by. We might program again later tonight. We might do a bunch more of this during Christmas vacation. Next stream, I want to add a cool feature to the inline assembly that'll help it interoperate with the higher level language. Never mind that I just did a big Twitter post about how we may cut the inline assembly eventually. As part of evaluating that, I want to add a cool feature. So thank you, everybody. We might be on this evening. We might not. I don't know. I hope you're having a good Christmas or Kwanzaa. See you later. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.